Yay. Hey. Oh my goodness. I'm having all kinds of technical challenges with doing a video today. So, anyway, thank you for being here. Um, LinkedIn people, you need to watch this on the YouTube stream because LinkedIn is not connecting. It's one of those days. So, anyway, welcome to Mystery Writers Studio. I'm Zara Altair. And today I wanted to talk about the suspects in your mystery novel because, well, they're the meat and potatoes of creating a mystery, making it mysterious, keeping your reader guessing, was it that person or that person or that person? Because remember, one of your suspects is the actual villain. So you want to keep your readers guessing as to who it is. So, um, your reader has a murder to solve along with your detective, right? And you have a villain who committed the crime, and these elements are the basis for your story. You have the detective, the villain, and the victim. But to create the real mystery and to keep your readers guessing, you need a good mix of suspects. So what does it take to have a good suspect? What does that mean? To make it work, you need to connect with the reader, and you need to have the reader connect with each suspect and make that suspect memorable and unique and raise questions about that suspect's authenticity. So each suspect needs to be distinct. I know when I was um, helping a writer, this was actually with a film script, not narrative fiction, but they had bad guy one, bad guy two, bad guy three. Each one of those suspects needs to have a unique personality, and it is their personality that challenges your detective, um, and keeps your reader guessing. So it's much more than putting them in a lineup in your head: suspect one, suspect two, suspect three. Um, your reader is actually going to be confused if your suspects are similar, so you want to make them as distinct as possible. When a suspect reappears after, say, 50 pages of your story, your reader needs to identify them right away. Oh, yeah, that was the guy who drove the Maserati or whatever it was that made that character distinct, so that right away they make that connection. They remember what happened before with that suspect, and they're ready to take in new information about that suspect. Um, so, how do you differentiate those suspects? Well, first of all, give them a unique name. This is where that, naming people with the same first letter and all that stuff really makes a difference. Uh, so, start each name with a separate letter of the alphabet. I know this sounds really simple, but uh, Sally and Susie and Jim and John are too close. You need to have names that are really distinctive. So it's Sally and Genevieve, for example, or Jim and Arthur, whatever, but make sure that their names are distinct, so that naming helps your reader remember who that suspect is. And it also helps if you give them an instantly recognizable physical characteristic. Uh, Maybe one character has a perpetual frown, or flame red hair, or a limp, or a lisp, or anyway, it's something that helps your reader remember the character from their last appearance in the story to this appearance in the story. And this is really important when you get to the third act of your four-act structure and your detective is going back and re-examining all the information that they gathered and reconnecting with suspects and asking them new and different questions. And so, if you make that character memorable with a distinct name and some readily identifiable physical characteristic, it helps your readers just connect with that character. So, every suspect needs a unique reason for disliking or hating the victim. They make it personal, make it really personal, so that, the lies they use to cover up something may be related to the crime or maybe just related to that individual's personal makeup, because that's part of creating the mystery. And every suspect does need a secret to cover up, uh, because this is part of how you create those questions for your readers. So the idea is to create a circle of relevant suspects who have unique traits and relationships to the victim and reasons to lie. This is really going to help you create a lot of mystery in your mystery and mystery around the suspects that you have in your story. So, a question I get asked a lot from beginning writers is, how many suspects do you need to have in your story? You want to have enough to keep the reader guessing, but you don't want too many so they'll be confused, because confused readers may stop reading, and too few suspects will make it easy for your reader to eliminate possibilities. And remember, your readers are there because they want to outguess your detective, but they're going to be disappointed in your story if they do. So that's part of our challenge as mystery writers. So um, readers are reading your book because they want a challenge, but too many suspects can confuse your reader. And so somewhere in the range of 4 to 8 suspects is a good range. For 3 is too few because it's pretty easy to eliminate 2 out of the 3. 4 makes it more complicated, and 8 is about as far as you want to go, as far as having each suspect distinct and individual with individual relationships to the victim and individual personality traits that your reader remembers. So 4 to 8 is really a good number. And then I talk a lot about readers caring about your story, readers caring about your detective, and you also want them to care about the suspects. Um, and in that guessing game, your detective leads the reader through the story, and suspects put the puzzle in context. Each suspect has a role to play in your story in guiding that detective toward the final solution. Um, your reader always knows that one suspect is the villain, all right? And in their interactions with the detectives, the suspects give and conceal, and they create context for your reader about how that particular suspect fits in this story. And each suspect knows the victim differently, and they may paint a completely different picture of the victim. And each suspect interacts with your sleuth differently because they have a variety of personality traits and a manner of speaking and motivations to help or hinder your sleuth's investigation. And Andrew Hatchett made a comment. He says, "Death on the Orient Express came almost too close with the number of suspects," and then smiley face, because yeah, it can get confusing if you have too many suspects. So fortunately, Agatha Christie was a master at writing in her suspects. We're lucky for that, Andy. So distinct and rich character development makes each suspect individual and deepens the reader's involvement in the story. So you're doing work, character background for your detective, and you're doing character background for your victim, and you're doing character background for your villain, but make sure you have a full character background for your suspects as well, because that is going to make them more intriguing and make the way that they respond to your detective's questions and interact with your detective each unique, and raising more questions for your readers. Uh, so if you're writing a psychological mystery like P.D. James or Elizabeth George or even Anne Cleeves, going deep into your characters gives your reader more to ponder. All right, so you the bottom line is you want to manage your mystery suspects to give your reader satisfaction. It's important to paint a picture of the type of people that you want to introduce and give each suspect a full description, uh, complete with identifiers. These may be patterns of speech, something that they say that makes their dialogues distinct, and these identifiers fix that character in your reader's mind. So when they appear again later in this story, they will, oh, yeah, I remember her. She was the one with the smart mouth. Whatever it is that makes that character distinctive. All right. Uh, that's about it. That's all I wanted to share today is when you're writing your mystery, focus on making those characters distinct, those suspects distinct. Make them suspicious, right? Make sure you give each of those characters a secret they want to keep and lies to cover up those secrets so that they may be distorting their answers to questions that your detective asks. It, and once again, it doesn't necessarily have to be the actual crime that your detective is trying to solve. It's something personal to that suspect, and you are going to need the character background in order to know what those secrets are and how complicated that individual is and what their motivations are for being forthcoming with your detective or being reticent with your detective. So you have a lot to play with, and creating those characters is a lot of fun, and using them in your mystery is a lot of fun. So just follow these basic guidelines and you're going to have fun creating your suspects for your mystery. So thanks so very much for being here. Thanks for your patience with all my technology glitches that happened today. And I will see you next week in the Mystery Writers Studio.